President is Uganda's employee #1. He's the head of all of us, the 400,000 public servants. His residence has been given 500 billion and his office 306 billion. This financial year, the budget for the residents alone after the supplementaries came to 1 trillion, the same amount that you give to PDM. So after consuming 16.7 trillion of the entire budget, #1 employee fuels his motorcade and goes to check on the rest of the population to find out why they are still poor. This is especially after budgeting for 1 trillion under Paris government model. So the PDM constitutes just 1.3% of the entire budget. So you consume 16% of the budget, fuel vehicles. You can see the photos are not clear there. The convoys are on the road, putting fuel to go and check on the rest of the population why they are still poor. The ones that take 1% of the budget and you take 16%. I did raise issues, I don't have to repeat them, but particularly about Kanyareru Primary School and other schools operated by the President. The presiding officer asked me to present evidence. I reached out to him on the following day, but I was surprised that as I was assembling evidence, my submission was expunged. And not only was it expunged, but one of the colleagues who raised the point of order was on Twitter celebrating, actually accusing me of bigotry. The Honorable Kazwenje, I hope that is how he pronounces his name. So the point of privilege, Madam Speaker, is whether I will now be given, or I can proceed even now, and substantiate the matter that I presented here, or I wait for the presiding officer who expunged, because I have more evidence than I had actually promised to bring. And Madam Speaker, that evidence is here. So if you allow me, I'll straight away come and lay and present it. So I need your guidance, because my reputation cannot just be damaged just like that.
Anyway, that is if some people have a reputation. Can you do that when the presiding officer is here who handled it? Because I don't know what it was. I have not been briefed, and the fact that it was expunged, it is not in any record, so I can't read it anywhere. Honorable Laibi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you. In the
honorable members, first listen, Ibra is on.
Speaker, I wanted to invite you to the judgment of Constitutional Court and the Supreme Court. During the processing of the Muhwezi bill, the one that made Mr. Museveni life president, the argument by those of us who went to court was that, Madam Speaker, on matters of constitutional, there must be consultation. And not just consultation, but adequate consultation. Court ruled, and Parliament can look at the judgment, that matters of constitutional nature cannot be rushed, even if it is one sentence. I was inviting you, Madam Speaker, with humility, that you consider extending the time at least.
Are you done?
I was inviting you, Madam Speaker. Okay, information.
Honorable, Speaker. No. Yes.
Can I conclude, Madam Speaker?
Can you conclude? And when I'm talking about within 45 days, 45 days can even be 1 day. Within. So if you're talking about the dates, that one, it is within 45 days. What I only see sense in it is the issue of Constitutional Review Commission, which Attorney General is going to respond to. Is he here?
You can allow me, Madam Speaker, to conclude. The Attorney General can aggregate these issues and answer them. I haven't looked at all the issues challenging the passage of the Armed Homosexuality. But I have heard those who went to court are even questioning the time within which it was passed. As I said, I haven't looked at that, but the Attorney General can help. So as he does, Madam Speaker, I am pleading with you to give these bills enough time. We can pass them next year. The roof is not coming down.
The levels of trust between the executive and parliament. I have listened variously to the passionate submissions by the Honourable Opendi over her desire to submit and have space for a constitutional amendment. If you look at the constitutional amendment bill and the memorandum attendant to it, it speaks to the intentions of amending particular legislations that have roots from the Constitution. And if you go constitutional strictly, I'm very sure the Land Attorney General would agree with me that these constitutional amendments actually shake the core of the form of governance, which is decentralization. They actually go to the core of the form of government. Increasingly, the amendments actually are a migration from decentralization to centralization, which is why members are discussing the possibility of having the Constitution amended in a consolidated bill. And now that we have accepted to go piecemeal, no, I'm submitting from what the Right Honourable Speaker has guided the House about. And at the end of the day, probably a question will be put. Will the Honourable, the Land Attorney General, give this House an indication of the intentions of government in the interim by bringing this particularly, and then what became of the plethora of promises for wide-ranging constitutional amendments via a constitutional commission? Because what the Honourable man was talking about is very clear. Is government intended and intentioned on causing serious amendments to overhaul the Constitution, to accommodate the wide-ranging changes in the country, in the economy, in the form of governance? Because these piecemeal amendments, for me, are shaking the form of government, with the decentralization, Right Honourable Speaker, and I'm very sure implementation will be somehow problematic, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. On constitutional is on merging equal opportunity commission and human rights commission.
Thank you.
And what is said that because they perform the same jobs, so it is a duplication.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
If you look at what is in the amendment, the object of the bill.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. In that case, it doesn't stop the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs from bringing a comprehensive amendment later, while it also doesn't stop us from proceeding with this one. Right Honourable Speaker, the reason I'm saying this, yesterday, all these members, we received messages from people, anonymous people in this country, telling us to reject this constitutional amendment. No wonder we are having this kind of discussion. It is because somebody, yes, we sent messages to all of us. However, Right Honourable Speaker, I can read for them for you. However, Right Honourable Speaker, on the question of timing, it is right.
Honourable members, can you sit? Honourable members, can you sit? Honourable members, Honorable members, honorable members, we are now going into the merits of the bill. Before the bill is even presented, now you've started debating the bill. You've not allowed it to be presented, to be laid on table, and you're debating it. Nathan, what do you have? Honorable members, can you sit?
Thank you. Right.
Is to inform you that I intend to file a notice with the Speaker of Parliament as well as tomorrow or Monday morning seeking permission next week to present a motion that will give this country a solution on how to deal with the economic crisis that we find ourselves in. But this particular motion is going to focus mainly on the luxury at Mr. Museveni's residence and his office. So if you allow me to steer to the background of something that you are aware, on 8th August, the World Bank announced the suspending of loans to Uganda over the Anti-Homosexual Act. President Museveni responded by assuring the country that Uganda can survive without the World Bank loans. He also said if money from other donors that finance treatment, especially of HIV/AIDS, is withdrawn, the 2 million Ugandans who live with HIV/AIDS will survive by cutting and reducing salary and allowances of public civil servants. He also, before I go to the subject matter of this motion, need to refresh your mind that this World Bank withdrawal found us already in problems. Our total debt, the external debt as of March this year, is 85.2 trillion, according to Bank of Uganda State of the Economy report, April 2023. And our total budget, as you're also aware, is 52.7 trillion. Uganda's external debt now stands at 51 trillion shilling, which is roughly about 13.5. And our domestic debt is 34.1 trillion. External debt, of course, here I am referring to money we have borrowed from World Bank, IMF, China, EU, African Development Bank, and various countries. Domestic debt, money that mainly the government has borrowed from commercial banks. Minister of Finance puts the total debt at 80.7 trillion. If you look at the budget speech, which is 21.7 billion US dollar, of which 47.7 trillion, according to Minister of Finance, is external and 33 trillion is domestic. The interest on money borrowed from commercial banks that we are supposed to be paying this financial year is 6.1 trillion, and interest on money borrowed from external sources is 1 trillion. It is not only interest that we are paying. This financial year we will pay 2.7 trillion in principal. And I'm talking about money we have borrowed from outside. And because we don't have money to pay our domestic debt, we will be borrowing 8.3 trillion from the same lenders. We go to one bank and borrow to pay. Please take note that our projected total revenue next financial year is 29.6. This is the money that URA thinks will correct, 29.6 trillion. A total of 17.1 is provided for in the budget as debt service obligation, this financial year's budget, which is 60% of the money that URA will be correcting. In fact, the Minister of Finance had asked for 18.7 trillion to service the public debt. Also take note that Wages, the salaries for all the public employees is 7.3 trillion, and other expenses like fuel, purchase of vehicles, special meals will cost Uganda 13.5 trillion. Last financial year, we failed to service our external debt as a result of Bank of Uganda, as a result of failure to service our external debt. Bank of Uganda encroached on our reserves, reducing it from 4.4 billion US dollar to 3.6 billion. We have also failed to pay the accumulated interest on the domestic debt, as I have already indicated. That's why a higher figure is presented in this financial year's budget. Bank of Uganda is demanding 1.4 trillion to restock the reserves and capitalize itself. And this is the gist of my motion. It is therefore irresponsible and inaccurate for the President to say Uganda will survive without World Bank funding. Losing concessional loans means resorting to commercial banks and money lenders who charge high interest rate. Bank of Uganda notes in its April 23 report on the state of the economy that Uganda's balance of payment, which is registered at 738 million surplus last financial year, which was in a surplus, is now in a deficit of 1 billion US dollar. The deficit, according to Bank of Uganda, remains high by any historical standards. The President must act as an example. If you look at the budget that we passed, which is 52.7 trillion, as I said earlier, 7.3 is salary, 13.5 is other expenses, 18 trillion is debt servicing, 7 trillion in particular is interest. So what it means for government to do some work this financial year will be 14 trillion. I want you to take note. Uganda is going to be an interesting country. That you spend 7 trillion on wages and 13 on other expenses, 18 on servicing debt, and then you have 14 trillion shilling to spend. So you're going to spend 7 trillion plus 13 on government employees for them to implement programs of just 14. So 20 trillion is for servicing staff, their salary and vehicle, and the money that remains for spending is 14 trillion. We don't have money, that's why we will borrow, as I said. Please take note that I may jump this. It is therefore irresponsible and inaccurate for the President, as I said earlier, to say we will survive. Let me give you the examples that are driving me to move this motion. The President at the beginning of his administration, many of you may not have noticed, was driving a Toyota Santana. His convoy was less than 10 vehicles. He later upgraded to a cross-country. Today, and I'm going to give you figures, that's why I prepared this document. Every ministry is required to submit a list of vehicles, and these documents are available in ministerial statements, which I will share with you. Museveni's convoy has now grown to 60 vehicles. You are aware that his son, Muhwezi Kainerugaba, also has a convoy of a dozen vehicles, including a huge truck similar to that of his father. The father uses as a toilet. The wife also has a convoy with similar facilities. These are no longer leaders of an impoverished country that survives on loans which it cannot pay. In fact, Mr. Museveni and his family are now behaving like kings, which is the reason at his function, 50th anniversary, wedding anniversary, the appropriate guests that Museveni found to invite were Nigerian chiefs. If you all know how ostentatious are Nigerians. The trouble is that we don't seem to see this as a country. These days our president has developed appetite for parties, and his family members are competing with each other. The son has become